Hey kids, Boomer here, and yeah, I'm late again with this episode because I tried to come out on the 15th, and I'm recording this on the 17th, which means I probably won't get it out until who knows what, 18th or later, I don't know. Hey Boomer, you're a slacker. Yeah, I know it, Jimmy, and I need to tell my audience, I want to apologize too. If you haven't guessed, I don't have as much motivation to do this OK Boomer thing. Seems like I'm lacking a little spark, a little energy, a little drive. So, yeah, what the hell's wrong, Boomer? Well, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I'm busy doing lots of other things. I'm not sitting around twiddling my thumbs, but I'm just lacking some of the zest, some of the fervor, maybe not having as much fun, for whatever reason. Things are kind of dropping off here. So I don't know if I'm in the last, spasms of doing this particular podcast or not, but this is where we're at. So if you're still enjoying it, then I appreciate you being patient with me and listening.
Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer.
I do appreciate the people. I've got a number of listeners who listen faithfully, and I'm very grateful for that. And it's fun talking to those of you who do listen and say that you appreciate that. We'll just see what happens as we struggle along with this. Maybe with the wrestling season over, I won't be so busy and I'll be able to commit more time to it. But hey, we'll see. What we got is what we got right now, and it's going to be another Potpourri. Followed by chapter 2 of the book I've been working on. I've actually published, Trying for Home. So that's what's on the agenda. And again, I thank you, those who've been listening, for your patience and your faithful listening. Well, I'd like to say that was well put, Boomer, but frankly, it wasn't. Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, it is what it is, and we are going to do what we have done in the past, share some funny stuff, share some less funny stuff, all stuff which I think is interesting to me and hopefully interesting to you. Let's start with one of our most quoted authors, Brian Bilston, who shares modern-day proverbs like this one: fake news travels fast. Or post in haste, regret immediately. How about 2's company, 3's a crowdsourcing campaign. AI for an eye, and untruth for a truth. A scrolling phone gathers no moss. Share and like. Don't feed the troll that bites you. Empty influencers make the most noise. Every blog has its day. Jimmy, you want to try a couple? Okay. Blessed are the content creators. There's a time and podcast for everything. Do not judge clickbait by its cover. All's well that trends well. The end justifies the means. Memes. The end justifies the memes. Yeah, that's what it was. Well, what we had there were some modern-day proverbs. How about a modern-day answer to an age-old question? Daddy, how was I born? And here's the answer, with the father saying, well, son, I guess one day you'll need to find out anyway. Let me tell you, your mom and I first got together in a chat room on Yahoo. And then I set up a date via email with your mom, and we met at a cyber cafe. We sneaked into a secluded room and Googled each other. Yeah, your mother agreed to a download from my hard drive. As soon as I was ready to upload, we discovered that neither one of us had used a firewall. Don't! And since it was too late to hit the delete button, 9 months later, a little pop-up appeared that said, "You've got mail." Yeah, that's how you were born. Of course, not everything is rainbows and lollipops for many people. All you gotta do is watch the news a little bit. And you might feel like you are going to be in despair. Well, let's hope that people have ways of dealing with that appropriately. And one of them is to read poetry by Joseph Fasano, particularly a poem entitled To a Life in Despair. Don't go to the bridge. Don't wake in your coat in the morning light and carry those stones into the river. Don't find your father's pistol in the attic, hidden in the family albums. Don't pour the pills into the whiskey, the walls dissolving like your childhood. Just don't choose not to wake. Stay. Just stay. Tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow. You can always walk alone into the darkness, but not yet. Not yet. Not this soon. I don't have a reason to give you. All I have is the morning, and the autumn wind, and the child you once were in the darkness, looking at the new moon through the ruins, saying, "Save me, save me, save me," and the moon looking back with her vacant face, saying, "I promise, I stone-cold promise that the face of utter hopelessness is the face of something just about to change." This story is something straight out of my own life. I've actually experienced this. But this is coming from someone named Alice Smith, who says, "Have you ever been guilty of looking at someone your own age and thinking, surely I can't look that old?" My name is Alice Smith, and I was sitting in the waiting room for my first appointment with a new dentist. I noticed his DDS diploma, which showed his full name. Suddenly, I remembered a tall, handsome, dark-haired boy with the same name who had been in my high school class some 40-odd years ago. Could this be the same guy that I had a secret crush on way back then? Upon seeing him, however, I quickly discarded any such thought. This balding, gray-haired man with a deeply lined face was way too old to have been my classmate. After he examined my teeth, I asked him if he'd attended Morgan Park High School. Yes, I did. I'm a Mustang," he beamed with pride. "When did you graduate?" I asked. He answered, "In 1959. "Why do you ask?" "You were in my class," I exclaimed. He looked at me closely. Then that ugly, old, bald, wrinkled, fat, gray, decrepit son of a asked, "Oh, what did you teach?" "Womp, womp, womp, womp." Yeah, let's follow that up with some dad jokes. How about that, huh, Jimmy? I love a good dad joke, you know it, Bummer. All right, settle down here. Help me out with it a little bit, will you? You know it. The person who invented the Ferris wheel never met the person who invented the merry-go-round. I believe you, Boomer, because they probably traveled in different circles. You know, get it? Ferris wheel, merry-go-round. Yeah. I went to a school for magicians, but failed the final exam. Yeah, they were probably all trick questions. Jimmy, which U.S. state has the smallest soft drinks? I'm going to say Minnesota. Minnesota. I was diagnosed with a chronic fear of giants. Oh, me too, Boomer. I think it's called fee-fi-phobia. I heard on the news that some guy was stealing wheels off police cars. Yeah, but the police, I tell you what, they're working tirelessly, no tires at all, tirelessly to catch him. Jimmy, my doctor told me I'm going deaf. I bet that news was hard to hear. And now some quips, top quips from the year of 2025, supplied to us from Eric Zorn's Picayune Sentinel, a Substack publication that's free and full of goodness, funny stuff, political commentary, analysis on current news. Good stuff, I'm telling you, and it's free. That's maybe even the best part of all. Anyhow, here we go. And some of these you may have heard before because I've probably included them on previous potpourris. For example, this one, but it's so good it's worth repeating. I love the look on people's faces as they stand freezing at the bus stop while I drive past them. It's partly why I became a bus driver.
Hey, the guy with the worst grades should get to give a graduation speech, too. I mean, I want to hear both sides.
I bet that farmer, who named his dog Bingo, never expected a lot of hoopla about it.
Whenever I see chocolate, I hear two voices in my head. One of them says, "Eat the chocolate." The other one says, "You heard her, eat the chocolate."
Well, we just sort of drifted apart and never saw each other again. After that, I wasn't allowed to teach kayaking lessons again.
That awkward moment when you're not sure if you actually have free time or if you're just forgetting something.
Jimmy, there's a secret to folding a fitted sheet, and it's simple. Have low expectations.
My boss arrived at work in a brand new Lamborghini, and I said, "Wow, that's an amazing car." He replied, "Well, Jimmy, if you work hard, put all your hours in, strive for excellence, I can probably get another one next year."
Jimmy, I'm looking at getting a new dental health plan. What about yours? What do you got?
Oh, my dental health plan is entitled Chew on the Other Side.
Dance like no one is watching. Because they aren't. They're looking at their phones. Here's a poem by Billy Collins entitled Old Man Eating Alone in a Chinese Restaurant. I am glad I resisted the temptation, if it was a temptation when I was young, to write a poem about an old man eating alone at a corner table in a Chinese restaurant. I would have gotten it all wrong, thinking, poor bastard, not a friend in the world, and with only a book for a companion. He'll probably pay the bill out of a change purse. So glad I waited all these decades to record how hot and sour the hot and sour soup is here at Chang's this afternoon, and how cold the Chinese beer in a frosted glass. And my book, Jose Saramago's Blindness, as it turns out, is so absorbing that I look up from its escalating horrors only when I am stunned by one of his gleaming sentences. And I should mention the light that falls through the big windows this time of day, italicizing everything it touches, the plates and teapots, the immaculate tablecloths, as well as the soft brown hair of the waitress in the white blouse and short black skirt, the one who is smiling now as she bears a cup of rice and shredded beef with garlic to my favorite table in the corner. And now, time for more quips.
The gall of Alvin. The name is banned Alvin and the Chipmunks. As if he's not a friggin' chipmunk, too.
I accidentally passed my wife a glue stick instead of her lipstick. She's still not talking to me.
I want to know what the Homeowners Association is going to do about the noisy kids who keep coming in my house and demanding snacks and calling me Dad.
Life is short, and the hour of our death is a mystery. So no, I will not rate my transaction.
Cars these days? Too many gadgets. Too many gadgets. I tried to put my car into reverse, and it played a video of someone being run over.
When one door closes, another one opens. Other than that, it's a pretty good car.
The wage gap? It's not real. Men just tend to go for higher-paying jobs, like, doctor, engineer, and CEO, whereas women go for lower-paying jobs, like female doctor, female engineer, and female CEO. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Here's how to tell you've had a successful business meeting. 1, you ate free food. 2, you said one thing that was confusing enough to sound intelligent. 3, you left with no assigned action items.
Me. I'm not great at Rorschach tests, but this also looks like my parents fighting. Eye doctor. Again, it's just going to be letters.
I have more photos of my dog trying on his snow boots than my parents have of my entire childhood.
Safety inspector. I found 2 major issues with your Death Star. For one thing, there are no railings. Grand Moff Tarkin. We believe railings would detract from the austerity of our bottomless chasms. Safety inspector. That brings us to my second issue.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You asked a question at the end of a work meeting. Prepare to die.
I'm starting to suspect that the Christmas tradition of the kids cleaning the house for Santa while the parents nap, it's just something my parents made up.
I don't like to get the baby spinach because I feel even worse when it dies in the fridge.
Next time you get a call from an unknown number, answer it by whispering, "It's done, but there's blood everywhere."
It's true. It's true that exercise helps with decision-making. For example, I went for a run this morning and decided never to do it again.
The correct spelling is school is SCHOOL, not SCHOOL. You see, some people put the second O before the first, which is absolutely wrong.
Enough! Enough, I say, of this tomfoolery. Like that. Let me share with you Chapter 2 of Trying for Home, a book I've recently written. It is available now in ebook and in print version, and it's going to be available in audiobook version in just probably a couple of weeks, because I've been working on it. I'm on Chapter 15 right now, which is like the last chapter. I'll give you a sample of it, which is Chapter 2. I think you'll find it kind of amusing, maybe a lot amusing. Anyhow, here it is about an umpire, and he's doing a game, and he's having weird thoughts, and it triggers memories about what's going on in his life, which is not funny at all. So my tone here now is completely inappropriate. I don't care. I'm just going to say it anyhow. Here's Chapter 2, and hope you like it, and yeah.
Okay, Boomer.
Chapter 2, Groans of Displeasure. Top of the first, Cobras, Panthers, no score. Hey, partner, this way, Dave said, vaporizing Gina's image in Brad's head. Right. Where in the heck am I going? Brad had been heading towards the right field fence where there was no access to the field. Brad corrected his direction, smiled at Dave, and headed towards the infield. Focus. Bring your A-game. Focus. A-game. Brad chanted to himself, while adding, keep your head between the diamond lines and stay out of trouble. If memory serves me correctly, The Panthers lost by 1 run the last time these two teams met in the sectional final last year, Dave said as they neared the dugouts. Yeah, they have a good rivalry, Brad replied as he nodded at a couple of players warming up in the outfield. Brad envied the way the ball flew out of their hands on a beeline toward their partner's glove, landing with a crisp pop in the back of the mitt. He could not remember the last time he and his son Jerry had played a game of catch. Those late afternoons in the backyard when they tossed the old pea back and forth seemed to be a dreamy part of a peaceful past. Brad wondered what Jerry was doing at this very moment. Does Jerry have a scheduled game, or is he practicing with his high school team? Gina's voice answered his question. A better dad would know, now wouldn't he, Brad? As they stepped onto the diamond, Brad pointed towards the tall towers surrounding the field. When did they get lights? He asked. I don't know, replied Dave. But I better not get used today. I have plans for tonight. Dave and Brad watched the visiting team, the Cobras, finish their infield warm-up routine. Brad tried to push away thoughts of Jerry. He tried to concentrate on what he remembered about this field, how it played, the ground rules, and how the two teams battling today were coached. But it was an effort to do so. Damn, this is going to be a long game. Dave to Brad. Dave to Brad. Come in, Brad, Dave said while nudging his partner. Huh? What? Brad sputtered as his mind came back to the ball field. Dave nodded in the direction of home plate, where the two opposing coaches were holding their lineups, waiting to give them to the umpires and go over ground rules. The two officials quickly joined the coaches. There was nothing exciting about the ground rules. Everything was enclosed. The fences were tight. Brad asked the required question as to whether there was a trainer. The home team Panthers coach, Rick Turnroth, replied, Not at the moment, but she did tell me she was going to try to make the game. With the required elements of the pregame conference covered, Brad gestured toward the lights and said to Turnroth, Nice addition with the lights. Thanks, returned the coach. Unfortunately, the electricity has yet to be hooked up. Should happen in a few days. Dave added, It's unlikely they'll be needed today. Doesn't get dark until about 7:30. The pregame meeting concluded, and the head coaches shook hands with each other and the officials, then returned to their respective dugouts. The home team Panthers, decked out in their red and black uniforms, hustled onto the field to the cheers of several sideline moms. Brad noted several of the mothers added considerably to the landscape, especially a slim brunette who was perched right behind the backstop, but then reminded himself that one of them could be the mother of the catcher behind home plate, preparing to take the first warm-up pitch. Good afternoon, catcher, Brad said in his best friendly yet professional tone. How's it going? Great, the catcher replied with a grin. He stood and took a step toward Brad, extending his hand. I'm Ernie. I'm Brad. Wow, I haven't heard the name Ernie for some time. Ernie returned to his catching position, taking the first warm-up pitch from his partner. Yeah, well, the third baseman's name is Bert. Really? Brad unsuccessfully suppressed a chuckle as he crouched behind Ernie to look at the pitch coming their way. Yeah, we grew up best friends, neighbors, and all that. His mom nicknamed us Bert and Ernie. It stuck. That's funny. I like it. The pitcher completed his warm-up tosses. Ernie fired the ball down to second, drawing a nice throw, Ernie, from the attractive brunette behind the backstop. Ernie appeared to ignore the remark, too focused to acknowledge anything beyond the immediate playing field. But Brad, after taking in another appreciative look of the tanned mom, saw Ernie slightly shake his head while uttering, Really, Mom? What the frick? You gotta be kidding. What are the odds? The first two Cobras started the game with groundouts, one of them a hot smash to Bert that he handled smoothly. The third batter, typically the best hitter on the team, stroked a long liner to left center. Anticipating an extra base hit, the hitter sprinted out of the box and was about to round first as the center fielder raced 25 yards to his right, leaving his feet in a headlong dive with his glove outstretched. Brad was also on the move and hustling to the left of the pitcher's mound, stopping before the catch was made so his vision wasn't jostled by moving feet. From experience, he knew this would be a tough play, and he needed to put himself in the best position to see it. And now he had to make an important, quick decision. If he ruled the fielder had trapped the ball against the ground, the batter would land on second base in scoring position. If he ruled it a catch, the inning would be over. The jubilant Panther crowd expressed its opinion as the sliding fielder held up his glove, showing he had clear possession of the ball. But had the fielder trapped it? Had the ball touched the ground before it went into the glove? Brad's mental replay of what he had seen was that it was more likely a catch than not. He pumped his fist skyward and shouted, "Catch!" The batter-runner, now standing on second, threw both hands in the air, looked towards his own dugout, exclaiming, "No way!" The out call indicated the half inning was over. But Brad knew the Cobra head coach in the third base coach's box would likely demand a conversation. As if thrust forward by the Cobra parents' indignant protests, Coach Kingsley stomped towards Brad while directing the batter who was called out to stay on second base. Brad braced himself for this impending confrontation as Kingsley made his way towards him. Past games that Brad had worked with Kingsley had been testy. "Brad," said Coach Kingsley, "we've got to have a trap here. This is a big play and a big game. You got to get this right." Several Cobra parents offered their opinion on the play. Apparently, any moron could see that the ball was trapped. "That's not what I got, John. I did not see the ball hit the ground." Kingsley's eyes narrowed as Dave moved closer to observe the interaction. With a nod towards Dave, Coach Kingsley asked, "Well, did your partner see?" Dave would have been watching the runner touch first base and looking for possible obstruction. "Can you ask him for help?" Brad considered refusing. He knew if Dave had useful information to share, he would have his right hand near his heart, per their training. Dave was still standing still, with his hands at his side. However, because it was a big game and it wouldn't take long, he crisply said, "Sure." Brad moved close to Dave, and in a volume too low for the Cobra coach to hear, "I'm pretty sure you were watching first base when the catch was made, but we're having this conversation to appease a coach who needs to show support for his player and team." Dave allowed a small smile. "That's right. The batter-runner touched first base. There was no obstruction, and I have no idea if the ball was trapped or caught. After the runner rounded first, I looked toward the outfield and saw the fielder sliding on his stomach with the ball in his glove." With a nod, Brad said, "Thanks, Dave." He turned towards Coach Kingsley with his right fist in the air and firmly stated, "The call stands, John." Kingsley, without comment, spun towards the dugout, barking, "Let's go! Let's play some defense." Brad and Dave moved to foul territory, ignoring the Cobra fans and their groans of displeasure. 5 months earlier. Brad worked hard to swallow a groan of displeasure. His throat was tight with fear, guilt, and sorrow. He didn't know if he could get the words out of his mouth. It was as if his throat muscles had extended themselves to wrap around his jaw and clamp it shut. He looked at his 15-year-old son and debated about lying to him, not telling him what he needed to say. Enough lies, enough hiding. Brad mentally kicked himself in the butt. Gut through this. It must be done. He tried to smile at Jerry, his only child. It came off more as a grimace. They were both seated in stuffed chairs, facing each other over a coffee table in what they called the family room. Brad had found an afternoon where the two of them were home alone. Gina was showing a house for sale, so he took this opportunity to speak to Jerry about his parents' marriage. "Look, Jerry, This isn't going to be easy for me to say. I've got some bad news." He paused, still unsure of how to best continue. Too bad I don't have a partner to assist me with this difficult play." Jerry said nothing while his eyebrows drew down. "You've probably noticed that your mother and I haven't exactly been getting along very well the last few months." "The last few months? More like the last few years. Yeah, you guys hardly ever speak to each other, aren't even in the same room. And I haven't seen much of you, Dad." "Right," Brad said with a nod. It took a concentrated effort to make eye contact with his son. Admitting failure, feeling like a failure, Brad wasn't often put in this position, especially about something as important as family and marriage. He had to force himself to look at his son. "It's hard to explain. We seem to want different things. We aren't making each other happy. We're at the point we're not even talking about it anymore." Pain wrapped Jerry's face. "Are you guys getting a divorce?" Brad opened his mouth, but had to look away and fight back tears while his throat decided to squeeze his words down into his stomach. After a deep breath, he managed, "All I can tell you, Jerry, is that we both love you. It has nothing to do with you. It's not your fault." "Yeah. Well, I think it has a lot to do with me. I've seen how messed up my friends' lives are now that their parents are split and getting divorced. It sucks." "I'm sorry. It does suck for everybody." Brad watched his son struggle with this news. Jerry asked, with the pitch of his voice rising, "So what's going on? Are we fixing this? Counseling? Or have you guys hired lawyers?" "I haven't hired a lawyer. I don't think your mother has hired one. For the past couple of months, I've been going to marriage counseling on my own. I want to find a way back. I want things to improve, but..." Brad looked down to gather his courage before admitting, "I am moving out for a while. I'm hoping it'll give us some space to figure things out, to let things have perspective." Jerry's head pumped up and down before erupting, "Fan-fucking-tastic, Dad! Running away from home! Really?" A wrenching groan erupted from Jerry's chest as he sprung to his feet and almost sprinted from the room, leaping up the stairs to his bedroom and slamming shut the door. The door slammed heavy on Brad's heart.
Shut up! And kids, don't forget to be checking in with AroundPtown.com. It's got all the news that you can use. Stay hip, stay classy with AroundPtown.com. And for you fellas that want that hip and classy look, well, then you're going to want to get your butt to Ben's Barbershop chair. That's right, Ben's Barbershop. Look him up on Facebook.com. He's in Fulton. You make an appointment, you're going to love it. If you enjoyed listening to Boomer here, he'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to his podcast so you'd get notifications of when the next episode's coming up. Maybe leave a rating on a review. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe. That helps the podcast grow, and that makes the little fella feel so much better. And if you had any feedback for him, go ahead and contact him at ttaudioworks@gmail.com. Again, that's ttaudioworks@gmail.com. Okay, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.